Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Weller and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. And I always talk about Dungeons and Dragons. Why do I keep saying that? You already know this. Look, this is a Lost Mine of Phandelver Dungeon Master Guide. That means spoilers. So if you are a player, as it happens, not a good time to hang around. Go and check out one of my other videos. If you are a Dungeon Master, you're in the right place. So we're going to talk about the Redbrand Hideout and the different encounters that are listed there, and it's just different locations and what you can expect your players to try to do and how to deal with those varying options or varying actions they might take. The Lost Mine of Phandelver is obviously one of the most popular adventures for Dungeons and Dragons 5e, and as it happens, I have a huge series on it. So if you're the first time you've ever seen any of my videos, look, this is not the only one. There is like a lot more. So you're welcome to go and check them out later on. So let's talk about the Redbrand Hideout. We've got a map. It's on page 21. And basically it gives you a breakdown of all the different locations. So easy to follow. It's not a huge map, so it doesn't require an awful lot on your part to sort of understand what's going on. The great thing is that not every single room is a combat encounter. Some of it is just exploration. Some of it is just dealing with traps. Some of it is just a collection of social encounters or potentially a social encounter. So when you see in bold monsters, don't just assume it's a combat. It can be whatever the players decide to make it. Now, as a general rule, most players are going to go straight for I draw my sword or I cast a spell. And that's fine. There's nothing actually wrong with doing that. It's really depends on the style of your group. So right now, the Redbrands are a bunch of bandits or ruffians that are based at the Tresidder Manor. Now, the manor itself is now just a collection of ruins. The only thing that survives from the manor is the old cellar, and that cellar has been expanded by the Redbrands after their leader has instructed them and turned into the Redbrands Hideout. Wonderful. So we now know that they have fashioned this after an existing location. So how do our players find the Redbrand Hideout? There's actually about 5 possible ways they can actually figure out where the Redbrands are once they have their encounter in town with them, where you pretty much play out like an old western story or movie, the OK Corral and Wyatt Earp if you want to. But there are 3 individuals or ways they could actually get that information. One is they go and talk to one of the Redbrand ruffians once they have subdued them and captured them. They're not really going to be intimidated. There's too many Redbrands in town, and there's too many of them for them to be really intimidated, because they can fall back and go and ask for help or run away. So those are sort of things that they would likely do. So you're going to have to subdue them, capture them, and then ask them some questions. They could also, the players could go and talk to Grista, the surly dwarf and the sleeping giant, because these Redbrands spend a lot of time over there. In fact, far more time than they really should, but that's where they are usually positioned. They can also go and talk to Carp, Elderleaf, who actually, as it happens, can provide them with the exact location just about of the secret entrance or tunnel that leads into Area 8 of the hideout. And this will actually get them past a lot of different threats, allowing them, if they want to, depending on their choices, they can circumvent just about everything and go straight for the boss. But it's going to require a bit of exploration on their part for them to get there. More than likely, you'll find your group will, in fact, find that Carp's information is easy to collect and come across. So I'm not actually, I don't honestly think that's going to be very difficult for them to achieve that. It's actually going to be very, very easy. I found my group used the back door. They didn't go through the front door. Chances are the same thing will have happened for you. Or there's Halia Thornton from the Miners Exchange. She knows the front door location, where the front door is, not the secret entrance. Only Carp knows the secret entrance. And you might also find that possibly Harbin Wester might be able to guess at its location based on the fact that he's actually quite smart. He's just maybe a little bit lazy or doesn't have the resources. It's probably more about the resources to actually deal with the Redbrands rather than anything else. Now, one of the problems with this adventure, and you're going to find this crop up more than a few times, unfortunately, and that is the general features are fine for the hideout on page 20, except for the secret doors that are going to be far too easy for them to find. With a passive perception, it's a 15, so that's good, but with an active check, it's a DC 10. So the chances are that secret doors are not that secret anymore. My suggestion to you is make the check a 20, including the passive perception check. Make it a 20 straight across the board. The chances are a passive perception won't be a 20 for your character or players that are playing a character in the game, and they will have to actively search to find those secret doors. I think that's what you want. Otherwise, it's a little bit pointless as far as I can tell. The only time I would suggest not changing the DC for the secret doors to 20 is if you're a dungeon master who does not use active skill checks and will only use a passive check. That would be quite unfair if you ask me. Just my opinion. So what do the Redbrands know? Well, as it happens, what the Redbrands know, you will find on page 20, there's a sidebar. If they get charmed, captured, you can question them if they get captured, and they can provide you with quite a lot of reasonable information. What sort of information can they provide you with? Well, as it happens, they can provide you with quite a bit of information. And it's listed there with regard to who their boss is. They know that Glassstaff is their leader, but they don't know Glassstaff's real name, only his alias, you might say. They also know that there is a mysterious figure called the Black Spider who's hired them, and basically they are supposed to frighten and intimidate the population of Phandelver. And they've been doing a pretty good job and enjoying the process as it happens. They can also tell them a little bit about the location of their comrades and monsters and other creatures in this hideout. And you might find that they can also, look, it's up to you. You might even decide that they will help in some way, given enough leverage, bribery, so forth. Maybe they will be a turncoat. It's really totally up to you as the dungeon master, as far as I can tell. One of those things that you can sort of pull in pretty easily. Okay, so when it comes to sounds of combat in this adventure, you'll find that the sound of fighting is going to draw enemies to the existing fight, or allow them to set up an ambush, possibly, or more likely to go and warn Glassstaff that they have been infiltrated, which is what I think you should probably be doing rather than doing other things. Don't see enemies only as combat. Remember, they can be, there's a chance for talking, deception, persuasion, intimidating, depending on your numbers in your party. Don't make every combat as hard as too hard, because if you make them too hard, they're only level 2. Chances are your party will show up here, they'll be about level 2. If they're level 3, it's not going to be too much of an issue. But it can go really badly for a group of level 2 characters if you always have all of the bandits, you might say, ambushing them, or setting up a large sort of surprise encounter where you sort of pull all of your, if you pull all of your resources to one location, they're really going to find that incredibly difficult. I think that's going to be just a little bit too unfair if you ask me. So the first area is the cellar area. It looks like a dead end with storage, but it actually has a secret door, which you want them to actually find. You want them to find the secret door, otherwise sort of what are they going to do now? There's a cistern which has a potion and some gold, and they need that. Really, you want them to find that, and do whatever you can to get them their hands on it. They're likely to be heard by the ruffians in Area 2, which is the Barracks. So if you find that actually does happen, chances are they will have set up a surprise encounter, something nasty to deal with them. The barracks are a very small location. It lodges only three ruffians, and so set up an ambush for this location. This could be very hard unless the party funnel all of the enemies through the doorway. The doorway is only 5 foot, and because of the spacing on the side, it means that most Redbrands only have melee weapons. So you might want to give them a ranged weapon if you don't want them sort of stuck where there's only one able to fight at a time. If the players move into the room and they get ambushed from the sides, it's going to be a much tougher fight because Redbrands, unfortunately, they have multi-attack. So surprise, multi-attack can be very nasty in a big open area. Now the scarlet cloaks that are there, that's a chance supposedly as the players see them for disguising themselves as a ruffian, as a Redbrand. But unfortunately all of the Redbrands know each other, so it's a false lead if they thought they would be able to get away with doing that. Unfortunately it's not going to work. Okay, so when we go from there, we're now heading into Area 3. Area 3 is a trapped hallway. That particular area, as it happens, has got a pit that's been dug into it. Most groups will find the pit. The DC is only 15 for the perception check. It's nothing to worry about. The chances are one character will suffer a bit of damage, and that's all if they do actually miss it. Now, we're now heading into some of the more unusual locations within this adventure, and that is the Tresidder crypts. And this holds the Tresidder family. I think I've got that pronounced correctly. Tresidder. Their remains are sitting here. Their remains are now turned into evil, life-hating skeletons that will attack. They are pre-programmed to do this. And who would have done something like this? Well, as it happens, we know exactly who has done something like this. That has got to be Glassstaff. Glassstaff is responsible for transforming these leftover body parts into skeletons, waiting there to fight. It's an easy fight, but it will alert the Redbrands in Area 5. After that, we start getting interesting because you're going to get an opportunity to start doing a bit of role play. Chances are you won't have had that opportunity with the Redbrands to begin with. And that is, there is a slave pens with captives. These are captive travellers. There's 2 guards, so there's not a lot of guards in this location. So that means that it's going to be difficult for them to deal with a large group. Right here, the captives are, I think it's Marina and her 2 children. And basically, I would have the Redbrands threaten the captives if they are outnumbered or are losing. And chances are they will be outnumbered. And there's a good chance the captives may, in fact, get killed. So bear that in mind. It's a possibility. It might crop up. And it doesn't mean that it will stop your adventure in any way. It's still possible to continue even if that does happen. My suggestion to you is if Marina does survive, encourage the players to accept Marina's heirloom or heirloom side quest. That will get them to a different location in the adventure, but it will give them a whole lot more meat and hopefully tie them to one of the NPCs who essentially is more than likely going to wind up in Phandelver for a little while at least. Now the armory has basic stuff. There's nothing particularly exciting there, unfortunately. So if you thought you were going to get something really, really cool, not really. It's basic stuff. Let them take what they want. They should be sort of outfitting themselves to deal with the coming fights and the coming adventure as it happens. The storeroom, which is section 7, it has a sort of a work area. It holds stolen goods and stock and items. Nothing particularly exciting. Nothing you really need to worry about too. It's just an exploration area. Now, taking those stolen items back is a good thing. And if they decide to do that, I certainly would reward them in some way, whether that be with gold or experience points. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It could even be both if you wanted to. Okay, so Area 8 is the crevice. This section is basically a juncture. It has many routes. It is part trap. It is part monster encounter or social encounter. And it is the basic crossroads for the whole hideout. So there are many different options that the players can take in terms of exploring this location. The Norfolk is completely insane, but could be bribed by just throwing down a Redbrand body. It doesn't have to be one of the party members' bodies who fall down there by crossing one of those rather rickety bridges. Certainly, that's the trap section of that part of the map and hideout. It has the crevice itself. If they do a bit of negotiation and can provide it enough food, there's a good chance that they might be able to get hold of a very nice collection of magic items that are sitting down in the crevice in a chest. That chest could be really, really useful to the players' characters. If they decide to attack and kill a Norfolk, I don't think that's going to be very difficult for a large group. A group that's a bit smaller might struggle. They might lose one character. They might find themselves getting knocked down. This particular encounter wasn't a big issue as far as I could tell, but I have heard of people who've struggled in this area just regarding, unusual dice rolls and things like that. Okay, Area 9. This is the guard barracks. This is where the bugbears rest, and it could be a very nasty encounter. Honestly, my suggestion to you is when you come to this location, bear in mind that this is probably the toughest encounter in the whole adventure, but you can get a lot of information out of the bugbears if they are able to knock out a bugbear and have a captive, because the bugbears can provide them with a whole bunch of additional information regarding, as it happens, not only Nesnar the Black Spider, but also about Clark and King Groll. So I would suggest encouraging the players to knock out the bugbears rather than kill them. Then again, see, the thing is, if the bugbears get surprised, and the chances are they might well do, bugbears who have surprise do additional damage. It is possible for a bugbear to outright kill one of the player's characters if they are about level 2. If they're about level 3, they might just go down. There is a captive there, a goblin called Droop, and I would suggest using as much of the information provided in the adventure to role-play Droop if the party don't decide to just dispatch the goblin and consider the goblin just another problem to be eliminated. Okay, Area 10. This room is the meeting place and has 4 Redbrands. Now, you would think that this would be the toughest encounter, but it's not necessarily the toughest encounter, and the reason being is that you treat them as drunk, treat them as being poisoned. Chances are they will have disadvantage. I would expect them to send one of their members off to go and warn Glassstaff of an attack. Or, if not to warn Glassstaff, to go and warn somebody else. But more likely to go and warn Glassstaff. They might not be able to do a very good job of it, but that's what I would suggest doing. So the players are really only dealing with 3 drunk Redbrands rather than 4. 4 is tough, but they're drunk, so they should hopefully have disadvantage on their attacks. That will certainly make that encounter a lot easier. If you wind up with 4 Redbrands and they are not treated as being drunk and poisoned, and they all have multi-attack and a big open area, and potentially they have surprise, mate, your party is going to get absolutely decimated, unless they are very skilled, and the chances are you're dealing with new players, so that's unlikely. Okay. So now Area 11 is the Wizard's Workshop, and it has a rat familiar in there. And that rat familiar should be going and warning Glassstaff. Now, the rat doesn't even have to go anywhere, because remember, Glassstaff can see through the eyes and hear what the rat hears. That's the whole purpose of a familiar. So potentially, this is a location that should provide Glassstaff with a warning that there is trouble coming. Wonderful, because we want to give Glassstaff some warning, otherwise it's going to be trounced when they finally come across him. This place is full of information that you can use that's provided in the adventure, but I would make up some stuff as well. Use what you can and create your own. My advice to you. And there's no reason why you can't shift some of the resources from other rooms into the next encounter, which is going to be area 12 or even area 11 if you really wanted to. But I would sort of position Glassstaff either in area 11 or area 12, depending on what you want to do in terms of his movement. Now, area 12, this is Glassstaff's quarters. And the problem with this location is it has a back door. One of the things I really dislike about this adventure is the back door is a secret entrance, and there's 2 secret doors that you need to go through essentially to get to here. Only problem is all of those secret doors as written in the adventure would be easy to find. Chances are that the players will encounter Glassstaff not at the end but probably partway through the adventure, particularly if they found the back door. They might even find that they deal with Glassstaff as their first combat encounter and he gets surprised and destroyed. The secret door is left open. It's like, what are we talking about? It's the most appalling setup whatsoever. So if you don't want this to turn into a mess, which it will, I would suggest giving Iano, Albric, Glassstaff some hench people, some bugbears or some ruffians or something like that, some backup, because on his own he cannot deal with the party. My group destroyed him in less than 1 round. He might be an evil mage, but if he rolls low on his initiative, and if the party gets surprise on him, particularly likely with a group who are treating the game as if they are Navy SEALs, then it's all over, Grover, and unfortunately your big climactic battle is going to turn into a bit of a mess. Not only that, if they not only capture Glassstaff, that means they have a bargaining chip with all of the Redbrands within the hideout. So that sort of changes things completely. They can capture him. You can role play Iano, Albric, or Glassstaff. He can provide them with quite a lot of information. So I feel like this is problematic. You do need to do something with Glassstaff and the last locations. Wherever they find him, whether it be area 11 or area 12, do something to make it a bit more interesting, because that evil mage has got no chance whatsoever. Okay, so once they've dealt with the Redbrands and the hideout and dealt with those that are hanging out in town, and you can decide how many are hanging out in town. It might simply just be the 4 that you first encounter. It might be more. It's up to you. Once you've done that, you can go and chat with Haben Wester. And Haben Wester will not incarcerate anybody unless the entire Redbrand group have been captured or killed. If you can't do that, chances are he's not going to help you. They are the major pest for Phandalin, and certainly there should be a lot of individuals who are willing to reward the players, not necessarily with money because they've been getting extorted by the Redbrands, but maybe with favours, whether it be accommodations or food or just little things that they can manage. Haben Wester can also give them another job once this has been dealt with, and there's a good chance, if you really wanted to, that you can have Sildar Hallwinter, if he's still alive, reward them for cleaning up Phandalin. So a lot of different options. Up to you to figure out how you're going to do that. So I'm hoping that that was helpful in some way to you. If it was, great. I have quite a few videos on the Lost Mine of Phandelver for Dungeon Masters as guides to help you out in your games. I have hundreds of videos for players and Dungeon Masters as it happens, and I'm sure you'll find something useful. I have a Patreon page where you can support me there, so I keep doing content like this. I have affiliate links to the book depository and Amazon where you buy stuff and I get a small commission. And I also have a merchandise shelf now, and you can go and purchase stuff there that you might find interesting. Share, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell button to be notified when I go live and when I edit new videos, and I do a lot of videos. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.